Welcome back. We are back with Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. And Secretary, I want to ask you about the auto sector because I know that the president has been disappointed about the job cuts announcement out of GM. Morgan Stanley is saying that a restructuring at Ford could cut even more jobs than at GM. GM just announced 15,000 jobs were to be cut. GM CEO Mary Barra is going to be meeting with the Ohio senators tomorrow to talk about those cutbacks. What is your plan in terms of stopping that, in terms of alleviating the auto sector and this your reaction to the weakness going on there, even with all of the jobs created over the last year and a half?
Well, Maria, you know, the auto industry, and although people focus on it as an industry, at the end of the day, consumers buy cars, they buy SUVs, they buy light trucks, they buy trucks. It's a very big market. And my understanding is that GM has to just kind of restructure some of their demand. What we're seeing, particularly with lower gas prices, is additional demand for SUV, light trucks, strong demand, less demand for the small passenger vehicle. I think, as you know, in the manufacturing process of autos, they got to retool factories. I'm not aware of the exact specifics, but I hope that GM can retool these plants for other factories and that they can move things around. And I think one of the big focuses of the industry is how can they use new technology so that they can retool these plants a lot quicker. And ultimately, whether things like 3D printing for tools and things like that, whether 5 or 10 years from now, we can have that as a big part of auto manufacturing. I know we're very focused on technology and manufacturing. But I'm hopeful that these plants can be reused. We have a lot of demand for workers, whether it's in the auto industry or others. Matter of fact, right now, one of the biggest focuses for us is to increase the participation rate, bring people back into the workforce training. So I'm very hopeful these plants can be put back to work.
So it sounds like your take is really this is a specific issue to the auto industry in terms of technology and the retooling of plants, and not necessarily related to a broader slowdown that some people are expecting. What do you make of what's going on in the bond market? You know, the worry this morning is that the 10-year yield dropped below 3%, and the gap between the 10-year and the 2-year has gotten shorter, and that is suggesting that a recession is on the horizon in the coming couple of years.
Maria, we have a big markets room downstairs at the Treasury. We monitor these things very carefully. You know, it doesn't impact what we do at Treasury in the short term. We're focused on our funding needs over a longer-term basis. But let me tell you, in my previous life, I made a career of trading. And I've never believed that markets are efficient. Markets move too far in both directions. It is important to take this information in. But I don't see the market being an indicator as the future of the economy. I see the market being an indicator as to what they think is going to occur on interest rates. There's also there's technical issues as to supply and demand in all these different parts of the curve.
So what are you going to be looking at, Secretary, in terms of the most important metrics to keep checking on whether or not the plan is in place and rolling as you would expect in terms of growth? As I said earlier, economic growth has been among your priorities as well as job creation. With these worries on the horizon, are you going to be focused on business spending? Is it consumer spending? Where are the metrics that will give you the most important window into whether or not we are seeing that slowdown materialize?
I think the two most important metrics are the GDP numbers and the inflation numbers. I think what we're focused on is having strong growth while we keep inflation in check. I think the fact that the oil prices have come down recently, I think the fact that you see inflation hovering below 2%, so below the Fed target, is a good thing for growth. And we monitor all these issues. Most importantly, you know, I speak to business executives every single day because that's how I get a sense as to what's going on in the economy. I also speak to banks. Banks are a very good indicator in terms of what they see in lending. So, again, for our horizon on the overall economy, we see strength. You know, there are areas like housing which are slowing down a little bit, but not a big part of the economy, and I think we're very confident of it.
Secretary, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Secretary Steven Mnuchin.